So we're talking bass fishing, and if you're a beginner bass angler, it can be pretty intimidating getting involved in the sport of bass fishing. You go in the store, you see aisle after aisle of lures and baits. Well, I'm going to take you in my local tackle shop, and I'll show you a couple key baits that'll get you started down the road to success. Okay, so first up is terminal tackle. That's your hooks and your weights. As you can see behind me, there is a wall of options in terms of hooks, but we're going to focus on two today. First up is your size 4/0 offset worm hook. Second up is your size number 1 drop shot hook. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you how we're going to use these hooks to rig for bass. Okay, so next up is the weight department, and we're going to get a couple weights that are going to pair with the hooks we just bought to make a complete bass rig. First up is 1/4 ounce bullet weights or worm weights. And secondly, get 1/8 ounce drop shot weights. Now let's head over to Soft Plastics and I'll show you what bait we're going to use with these hooks and weights. Okay, so let's talk about Soft Plastics. The first soft plastic was manufactured in 1951, and since that time there's been an explosion in the market and there's more to choose from in 2021 than ever before. Don't get bogged down by all your choices. There's a couple of good baits I'll start you with, and then you can go from there. First up, we're going to buy a 5-inch Yamasenko made by the Yamamoto Bait Company. This is a salt impregnated stick bait. A lot of companies make this bait, so it doesn't have to be a Yamamoto. This just happens to be my favorite. And we're going to get green pumpkin. I can't miss. Okay, so we have a package of worms. Now let's get some creature baits. There is a lot of different brands and a lot of different creature baits, and they all work. They all have appendages, they all sink through the water slowly, and bass absolutely love them. I've been fishing a Zoom brush hog for a lot of years, and that happens to be one of my favorites, but experiment with different creature baits and see what works for you. They all can be rigged on that offset hook I'll show you at the end of the video. As for color, I like green pumpkin, anything that looks brown or green, because sculpins and crayfish that they eat a lot of are that color. And natural colors just look good in clear water. So anyway, we're going to head over now to drop shot worms and see what we can find. Okay, so now we just need to pick up a finesse worm to rig on that drop shot hook that we picked up at the beginning. We're going to go with a Yum Dinger in a 3-inch, again green pumpkin. There's no secret bait here. You're looking for a small worm that's going to mimic a minnow when we fish it up off the bottom. So anything in a 3 to 4 inch size with some flexibility is going to work. Let's head on over to the hard baits, and I'll show you a few more lures that you can catch bass on. Okay, so we're in the moving bait or the hard bait aisle, and as you can see, there is a lot to choose from. And as a beginner, you might want to tap your brakes a little bit because this is getting overwhelming. You have too many lures in your hand and you're spending too much money. But let me just tell you, in this aisle you're going to find myriad baits, including spinner baits and crank baits and frogs and all these different things that are meant to be reeled back to the angler either on the shore or the boat. They all work. They do get more on the expensive side and you can lose them. I want you to experiment with these lures as you break out into bass fishing, remembering though that with a package of worms you can catch a bass. Well, we did pretty good. We only spent $30, so we didn't break the bank. Let's get out of here and I'll show you how to rig these baits. Okay folks, so we just got back from the store and we have everything we need to rig these 3 baits for bass. On the right we have a weightless Yamamoto Senko rigged on an offset hook. This is a fantastic bait for fishing around shallow cover and especially around spooky fish. It's salt impregnated, so it has a natural wiggle to it, so you can kind of just cast it out and let it sink to the bottom and you can get bit that way. It's a very exciting bait. And then we have the creature bait rigged on an offset hook with a weight. Now because we've added weight to it, we can fish it even more places and deeper habitats, so it's very versatile and definitely belongs in your bass fishing arsenal. And then on the left we have a finesse worm on a drop shot hook, which is a great bait for fishing more vertically around docks or underneath the boat. So let's start with the stick worm and I'll show you how to rig these baits. On all of these baits we're going to be rigging the hook with a Palomar knot. I'll let you look that up online, how to rig that. It's one of my favorites because it's so easy. We'll start off with the stick worm. So start with the point of your hook and go right in through the top of the worm until you get to the belly of the hook and then point out. You've hooked about 3/4 of an inch of the worm. You're going to slide the worm all the way up past the bends, past the eye of the hook to the knot, all the way there, and then spin the worm 180 degrees. And now everything's ready except for the bottom portion of the hook. You can see there's a belly there. We're going to line up with the belly and we're going to take the point of the hook and go right into the worm where the belly lines up, which is right around there. We'll go all the way through to the other side, and that's exactly where the worm is going to sit, right there, protecting the hook. So this is a fairly weedless bait, and then of course when they grab down on the worm, you're going to be able to set the hook and catch the fish. Okay, so next up is the creature bait rigged on the offset worm hook with the weight, aka the Texas rig, and the only difference here from the worm we just rigged is this sliding weight. So we will want to slide that weight on with the narrow point pointing towards the rod, and then go ahead and tie on our hook with our favorite knot, and now we're ready to rig the creature bait just like we did the Senko. We're going to go into the creature bait about 3/4 of an inch until we hit the belly of the hook, and we're going to go out. Then we're going to slide that all the way up past the bends in the hook, past the eye, until it locks into place at the top. Now we're ready to insert the belly. You can see the belly's lined up right around where my finger is there, and we're going to take the point and go right in where the belly is lined up, all the way through the creature bait to the other side, just like so. You can see the hook's point's going to lie nice and flat along the back of the bait. This is very weedless, but again, once this bait is grabbed onto, the point's right there and you're ready to catch a fish. Okay, so next up is the drop shot rig, and the drop shot rig is probably the simplest rig to tie. What you're going to want to do is tie that drop shot hook onto your main line with a Palomar knot. You can look that up online, and leave yourself about an 8 to 10 to 12 inch tag, and you're going to hook the weight onto that tag end. And the drop shot weights are pretty cool because they just slide onto the line and cinch down, so you don't even need to tie a knot. So it's super simple. Then once you do that, you take your favorite finesse worm and you just hook it right through the nose so that it sits horizontal in the water column like a minnow. And that is all there is to it to rigging the drop shot. So I sure hope you beginners out there are finding yourself a little less intimidated about getting involved in the sport of bass fishing. The truth is, with some hooks, weights, and a bag of soft plastics, you might find yourself out there tomorrow being a successful bass angler. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you all out in the water.